Every triumph is built on structure. Jungkook's journey toward this American recognition was not a matter of chance. It was design-structured, calculated, and refined through years of perfecting silence, movement, and rhythm. When he entered the US scene, there was hesitation around whether a Korean artist could truly penetrate the core of mainstream America beyond a momentary fascination. Jungkook didn't answer through statements. He answered through work that erased hesitation. Each release carried the same precision, sound stripped of noise, emotion embedded within control. His vocals weren't made to imitate Western styles. They merged clarity with tone that carried its own authority. His English-language songs didn't sound like attempts to belong. They sounded like declarations that the stage belonged to him as well. This award was not about popularity, it was about mastery. The American industry had watched him not as a newcomer, but as a disruptor, who entered with the confidence of someone who already understood the rules, and then quietly redefined them. Jungkook didn't adapt. He adjusted the room around him. There's a reason audiences linger when Jungkook performs. It isn't only because of the visual polish or the choreography that lands with precision. It's because he understands the invisible link between restraint and dominance. He knows when to move and when stillness has more weight. That balance turns a performance into a statement without a single word needing to be said. In the American context, where spectacle often overshadows essence, Jungkook's control became his weapon. His stagecraft never screamed, it commanded. That quiet confidence is rare in an environment obsessed with volume. This award validated that subtlety matters. It proved that depth can win in a place built on display. Behind that win lies a deeper story, one about endurance disguised as ease. Jungkook doesn't show struggle, he shows result. The countless hours that shape his precision don't appear in the frame, yet the audience feels their echo. That's what makes his artistry magnetic. The difference between trying to impress and being the standard is invisible, but it can be felt. This recognition from the American industry was that feeling made official. The American audience, known for its saturation of sound, found something unfamiliar in Jungkook's music: purity. His approach stripped away excess. The tone, clarity, and melodic discipline in his songs were not accidental. They were reflections of a musician who understood the architecture of emotion. Each note he delivered carried the same integrity he brings to his image: controlled intensity. That's why his win resonated beyond fandom. It wasn't about loyalty, it was about respect. Musicians listened, producers analyzed, executives recognized. He had done what few foreign artists achieve in America. He made his sound universal without surrendering its origin. This balance of universality and identity is what turned his music into a global language. His voice became a translation device that crossed cultural lines without diluting authenticity. That clarity is what earned him recognition from an American institution that rarely opens its gates to outsiders. When his name was called, it wasn't a courtesy. It was a statement. Artistry had no nationality that night. Behind every public image of Jungkook lies a foundation of repetition practices so long they blur the concept of time. That's the part of success most people never see. The American recognition didn't come from sudden exposure or viral attention. It came from the invisible routine that turned talent into system. Every performance, even in rehearsal rooms far from cameras, was treated as if the world was watching. That consistency turned into a kind of energy that audiences could sense without understanding why. The difference between those who rise and those who last is hidden discipline, and Jungkook built his career on it. This award became the reflection of that unseen labor. The stage that night was simply a mirror. And in that reflection, the world saw a man who had carried every standard higher without ever speaking about how difficult it was. He never needed to explain ambition. He embodied it. Recognition from America carries its own weight. It isn't just about fame, it's about validation from the center of a global industry that defines what the world consumes. When Jungkook received this award, it wasn't a gift from the West, it was acknowledgement from equals. It was a turning point where American media, critics, and executives stopped seeing him as a Korean artist succeeding abroad, and started seeing him as a global artist setting standards everywhere. His work had already dominated metrics. What this moment did was redefine position. From collaboration to conversation. From representation to leadership. That transition is why the scene felt different afterward. American institutions don't easily shift narratives. For decades, they shaped who gets remembered and who remains in translation. But Jungkook's win broke that rhythm. It forced the system to recognize excellence that couldn't be ignored, even if it came from outside their circle. That was his quiet revolution accomplished without confrontation, just through undeniable craft. There's a particular silence that follows his performances in the US. Not confusion, but absorption. The crowd doesn't cheer immediately, it processes. That reaction tells more than any award. It's the sound of realization. Jungkook's impact is not measured in volume, but in resonance. When the show ends, his name stays in the air longer than the applause. That endurance explains why this recognition was only a matter of time. America responds to what it can't forget. And Jungkook has built a career based on permanence disguised as simplicity. When the ceremony ended, and the lights dimmed, there was still that echo his name, repeated by media outlets, reposted across continents, analyzed by professionals who wanted to understand how he had done it. The answer was the same it has always been: precision, not noise. With this recognition, Jungkook didn't just add a trophy to his list. He redefined what it means to be global. For years, the assumption was that Korean artists needed to adjust their art to fit Western standards. Jungkook did the opposite. He brought his standard to the West, and they adapted. That inversion is what made this moment so significant. The award became symbolic. It wasn't about America validating K-pop, it was about America aligning with Jungkook's level. That's why this moment felt bigger than a win. It was a shift in hierarchy. His victory turned into a reference point for future artists who now understand that dominance can be silent and power can be graceful. The headlines captured the surface. Jungkook wins prestigious US award. But the real story lived underneath. It wasn't about celebration, it was about culmination. Every decision, song choice, brand collaboration, performance direction had led to a space where recognition became unavoidable. Jungkook had long moved beyond needing validation. This was the world catching up. For most artists, such a win marks the summit. For Jungkook, it's another chapter in a structure still being built. He doesn't repeat, he refines. Every success becomes a framework for the next form of growth. And that's what makes his career unlike any other in this era. The American award stands as proof that he has transcended the limits of regional identity. But his next move, whatever it may be, will likely stretch beyond the idea of category itself. The path he's carving isn't about becoming bigger, it's about becoming singular. That's the real meaning of prestige, not what's given, but what's earned through constancy. Jungkook has shown that true prestige isn't about being seen, it's about being remembered when everything else fades. America has its own tradition of success stories. Rise, peak, and fade. Jungkook doesn't follow that curve. His rise is constant, his peak keeps shifting, and the concept of decline seems incompatible with his design. That's what makes his recognition historic. It challenges the structure of fame itself. His image is not built on controversy or chaos, it's built on refinement and progress. Each phase of his career feels like a continuation of the same idea, evolution through excellence. That's why his win in America doesn't just belong to one era, it belongs to the timeline of modern artistry. Every move, from music releases to brand collaborations, strengthens that image. The award was simply the visible proof of something that had already existed beneath the surface. Consistency so strong, it becomes narrative. In the landscape of American entertainment, where reinvention is often mistaken for growth, Jungkook's method stands out as rare maturity growth without distortion. Audiences often describe his performances as emotional, but what they're actually responding to is control. Jungkook doesn't explode with feeling, he channels it. His emotions don't spill, they move with direction. That's why they resonate so deeply. When he performs, every gesture carries weight, every breath falls in place. That precision turns emotion into architecture. It's not chaos, it's design. And that's what separates him from artists who rely on spontaneity. This award was proof that emotion without discipline is noise, and discipline without emotion is emptiness. Jungkook lives exactly in the balance between the two. America rewarded that balance. The industry recognized that mastery doesn't have to scream to be seen. It can exist in silence, in stillness, in perfect timing. His artistry is not about showing everything he feels. It's about controlling how the world feels when he moves. After the win, the effect spread quietly across the world. Every news outlet covered it. Every major label analyzed it. It wasn't only a win for Jungkook, it was a recalibration of what success looks like in the modern era. For years, the narrative had been that Korean artists needed the Western system to validate them. But now, the Western system needed Jungkook to stay relevant. That inversion marked the start of a new chapter in music globalization. His victory made it clear that influence no longer flows in one direction. It circulates. American recognition of Jungkook was not just an acknowledgement of his artistry, it was an acknowledgement of a shift in global power. He became the reference point for how global music culture now operates decentralized but unified by excellence. Every future artist chasing cross-cultural success will study this moment. They'll learn that what Jungkook did wasn't about translation, it was about clarity. He didn't adapt, he aligned the world to his tone. Awards lose value when they're given to everyone. Prestige only lives when it's earned through consistency. Jungkook's American award revived that idea. It reminded the industry that true prestige is not about size, but about standard. For Jungkook, prestige is not something to hold, it's something to maintain. That's why his reaction to victory was calm. He understands that real greatness doesn't end in applause, it begins after it. The moment the ceremony ended, he was already preparing for what comes next. That quiet forward motion defines his legacy. His fans see it, his peers feel it, and his competitors respect it. America's recognition might have been public, but his next steps are private, and that's what makes his career so compelling. If history remembers him, it won't be because of one award, no matter how prestigious. It will be because of the pattern he's built progress without pause. His American victory fits into that pattern seamlessly. It's not a climax, it's a continuation. Legacy isn't about duration, it's about direction. Jungkook has always known his. He doesn't move randomly, he moves with intent. That's why every recognition, no matter where it comes from, feels like part of a single narrative, the creation of Permanence. The American award may fade from headlines, but the effect will remain. It will shape how future artists understand global artistry. It will teach the industry that silence can win over spectacle, that control can move hearts, and that presence, when built correctly, never fades. Jungkook's legacy will not depend on who follows him. It will depend on how the world redefines excellence after him.